talked about how they make the playoffs, what the implications are if they make the playoffs. Let's do the negative side of it just because they have a 51% chance of not making the playoffs. So if the 49ers miss the playoffs, go 8-9, don't make it, go 9-8, and somehow don't make it on a technicality, what should Jed York do? Now, real quick, this is a hypothetical in which Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback the whole way because they're never out of it and they fall just short. So it's a full season of Jimmy Garoppolo and the vets, and they come just short. What should Jed York do?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to disappoint a lot of people when I say this. I don't think Jed York should fire Kyle Shanahan. And that's
no, I agree with you on
still,
that.
yeah.
Under no circumstances do you fire Kyle Shanahan. That's a mistake because he is right. He would get a job before the ink is dry on the firing. He would get a job somewhere else, and he'd be now getting paid by 2 places. It would always be a dream come true for him. He has no offsets in his Niners. You can't fire him. He's not fireable. Can't do it.
I also don't think they should trade Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, well that's where we disagree. But you go first. You go first.
I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think the first thing you have to do if you're Jed York is you have to get a clear vision. Maybe he already has it. They have given him a clear idea of what's the plan with Trey Lance. Then if they've already told you clearly what the plan is with Trey Lance, you need to know by yourself. You don't need Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch telling you. You need to independently know by yourself if that plan is being followed and if it's on schedule with Trey.
But he's going to say, hold on real quick. He's going to say the plan is he's going to start next year if he's ready. If he's ready.
Yeah, but okay. You should know if you're Jed York whether he's shown enough to be ready.
Kyle, is he ready? I don't know. I can't make that determination until I see him in training camp and preseason. I don't know. But if he's ready, then he'll be the starter. Well, and then he can just say he's not ready. Sorry, he's not ready yet. Jimmy's really playing well. Jimmy looks great. Why can't he do that? That's what he did this year.
I think
that's what he did this year.
So that would be if I'm Jed York, I would put the ultimatum that you got to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the first thing I would do if I'm Jed York.
Okay.
That's the first thing I would do.
I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. So Jed has some things he can do before just get rid of Kyle. Fair.
The second thing, I think you have to reflect on basically the entire organizational structure. You have to take a look at it, not because, maybe not even because you want to fire somebody, but you have 4 losing seasons out of 5. You have to find answers. You can make it. Maybe you think you have the right people, but the right people with this specific combination is not working if you're 4 losing seasons out of 5. Assuming they have a losing season to miss the playoffs, I think that's what we're expecting, more or less, because we think 9-8 gets you in.
Maybe.
So because of that, if that happens, you have to ask like 3 questions, right? Philosophically, do we have the right idea of how to build a team in the modern NFL? Do we have everybody structured in the right place that best uses their skill set? And then 3 is are we doing enough at this point to make Trey Lance better? And if you're not, then I think that's where you have to maybe first. I think you have to give an ultimatum, no matter what. Get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That is brilliant to me. I'm with you on that. And if Kyle balks at that, then I know what I would do. But if he's cool with that and he's committed to Trey Lance, then I can stick with him. Although, look, to me, if they miss the playoffs and Trey Lance doesn't play the rest of the year and they miss the playoffs, putting their best foot forward, their vets, dude, that's a wasted year. That's a wasted year. That's a big. I'd be really pissed if I were Jed if that's what happened. Really mad.
So forget Jed. If Lance doesn't play and the Niners miss the playoffs, Kyle will get crucified by fans, because if Lance does play, at least you have a frame of reference of something to be excited for. Maybe he comes in week 17 and he kills it. And then everybody's like, oh my God, we have the next we have a guy better than Patrick Mahomes for next year. And then Niners fans and Grant will be on the wave. So Niners fans and now it'll be Lombardi, and they'll be arguing back and forth because Niners fans will be saying he's better than Mahomes. Heck, he reminds me of Joe Montana for 1981. And Lombardi will be saying, no, he's not as efficient enough if you look at the data right here. Right. Or maybe it's not Lombardi. Maybe it's somebody else, but they're having this argument. But instead, if there's no frame of reference, then people will be pissed.
Right.
That's
that's what I'm trying. That's the picture I'm trying to paint for you right here. A picture where they miss the playoffs and Trey doesn't play, and fans are like, "Yo, what are we doing for next year? What is next year going to be worse? Are we going to start a guy who hasn't played in 2 years? Or are we going to stick with Jimmy even though we missed the playoffs?" That to me is why. Here, let me just say what I would do. And I know you don't have to agree with me, but this is what I would do. I've been thinking about it a lot. If they miss the playoffs and it's full Jimmy production, there's no Trey Lance, I would trade Kyle Shanahan because I feel like that's a fireable offense to put all your eggs in the present and miss the playoffs and not set yourself up for the future. What I would do is I would fire John Lynch first. Then I would bring in another general manager. And I would let him trade Kyle. You can't trade Kyle, but you can't fire Kyle, but you can trade him. Because I think Kyle's worth 2 firsts and 2 seconds. That's what the Raiders got for Gruden. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and $8 million. I think Kyle's worth the same, at least that. So if you want to get your assets back for the Trey Lance trade, boom. It's not, I mean, I'd rather trade Kyle than Nick Bosa. I'd rather trade Kyle than Deebo Samuel, assuming they missed the playoffs. So I would trade Kyle. I would trade Kyle to Chicago. This is how much I've been thinking about it. I would trade him to Chicago. I think that's the best place to put him. And then I would hire Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator from Dallas. Now, I wouldn't hire him, but that would be one of the guys that I would definitely interview. Kellen Moore, that's a guy who's been a quarterback in the league. He's also been a highly successful coordinator, and he's young. I think he'd be, well, I'd like to hear what he says in his interview, but I think he'd be the kind of guy who would embrace building an offense around Trey Lance as opposed to Kyle. Anyway, that's what I would do if they missed the playoffs. Oh, and I would also trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy, you got to go too. But I don't know where he's going. Whoever wants to give me a third for him.
Grant.
You get the 2 firsts back from Kyle, and you get the third back from Jimmy. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a doppelganger Roseman by any chance?
Why? Because I'm Jewish?
I'm just wondering because he didn't trade Doug Peterson. He fired Doug Peterson and he went and got Nick Sirianni, and then he traded Carson Wentz for a conditional whatever. So
it's true. It's true. I guess I'm thinking kind of like Howie Roseman, huh?
Think, well, I mean, I think you and Howie Roseman are on the same page because Howie Roseman trades more than anybody, and you love trades more than anybody. Yeah. But the one thing I will give credit for, because I didn't mean to say as to blast you in any type of way or anything, is that the Eagles are right there with the Niners as a team that's right there looking.
Bright. Their future looks good because to me,
and that
Jalen Hurts is
Trey Lance, good, so.
And he's coming into his own. Yeah. Anyway. So if the Niners miss the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see what Jed York does because to me, Kyle's kind of acting like a guy who needs every win he can get and is, I don't know, trying to get that playoff berth. If he misses the playoffs, I just don't see how you can bring everything back unless, of course, in that final game, they finally pivot to Trey Lance and he has this great performance and they're like, okay, there's an optimistic future that we can all look forward to. Otherwise, I don't know.
No, Grant, it would be you're right. It would be unprecedented. Even though I'm saying they should get the extra year no matter what, it would be unprecedented for a regime that's had little turnover, that's maintained the same system and philosophy for 5 years and have only one successful season to keep their job and keep going in the same direction. But then again, it's also unprecedented for a team that had one winning season out of 4 to trade that much up for a quarterback and kind of restart their timeline. So it's all a little bit weird because usually when you build a winner, you're trying to find ways to build a sustained winner. The Niners said this winner is not going to sustain. Let's restart it and try to build another winner again. Yeah. And it's really hard to build that. If they miss the playoffs with Trey Lance playing the last 7 games of the season, you'd say, well, okay, they missed the playoffs, but they're going to be good next year. Look at what Lance did. Look at how he improved. But if they miss the playoffs with Jimmy going, it's like, damn, well, what is next year? This team is at a real strange crossroads. You'd kind of like to move on from Jimmy because it looks like this equation isn't working anymore, but the replacement is the most inexperienced college quarterback ever, and he hasn't played in 2 years. That's a weird spot to be in. And now you only have 32 returning players, very few returning starters, no first-round picks, limited cap space. What do you do? What will this team look like next year? Very strange. And the other frustrating thing is I feel like they might have expected a lot more young talent on this team to step up and show something that would give you confidence about moving off of veteran players. The
Right.
issue is, as much as we say K'Wan Williams, right?
Thank
He's been
you.
an excellent nickel, but he's gotten hurt. Who the hell
Time
on
to
this
move
team is there
on.
to replace K'Wan Williams?
Time to move on.
Deommodore Lenoir,
How?
as a nickel, has not shown that he can do what K'Wan Williams
Nope.
does. So how do you
Nope.
move off of him? DJ
Exactly.
Jones, right? You would love to move off of DJ Jones, even though he's a very good nose tackle. But they
How?
don't have anybody that's shown the capability of being able to play with the
Tart.
power and strength.
They
Same thing
really
with
want to
Tart.
move on from Tart, and they're trying to make Hufanga a thing, but Tart started yesterday. It's not there yet,
Yeah.
right? Tart's so I don't know.
I mean, Juwan Jennings and Mo Sanu. Mo Sanu has started every game.
Yeah.
Ambry Thomas, Josh Norman. So, like, the fact that they don't have young players that you can look at, right, and say, like,
not a
these
lot
young
of
players
picks.
are stepping up. They're just,
Yeah.
this isn't, to me, this is not 2008 when Mark Roman was starting at, or 2010 when Mark Roman was starting at safety and Deshaun Goldson used to flash like every preseason and whatever, but the Niners wouldn't play him. Or Takeo Spikes was playing, but everybody knew Navarro Bowman was good. And the moment he got his chance, he had like 18 tackles the final game of the season in 2010. And then they all took off in 2011.
Mhm.
This is a little bit more Takeo Spikes is starting and Nick Moody is his backup, you know, where it's like the guy they drafted to be the guy after him has not shown anything, which is why the veteran continues to keep playing.
Right. Exactly. So make the playoffs, Kyle. But then again, it's such a weird position they're in. If they make the playoffs, you're presented with this reality where Jimmy could come back. And if they miss the playoffs, you could have organizational upheaval. That being said, if Kyle isn't the one and the Niners could get a coach like Kellen Moore who's enthusiastic about Trey Lance and they could sort of keep their defensive coaching staff intact, I'd be kind of intrigued about that for the future. But anyway, they can still make the playoffs. Let's see what happens. And Trey Lance, Trey Lance could come in. Who knows? This season could take some twists and turns. You never know. We'll see
The
what happens.
thing about Kellen Moore is what gives you any conviction that Kellen Moore is any more qualified for that job than, because if play calling is the one thing, you already have the best play caller. So replacing him with another play caller who's worse than.
Well, I mean, he's having a lot of success with the Cowboys, and he also played quarterback in the NFL, which I like. I like that. I mean, there's been successful backup quarterbacks who,
That's fair.
Gary Kubiak, stuff like that.
What I will say, and no, you are absolutely correct.
Because he might be able to better groom a quarterback because he's been a quarterback and he knows what can crush a quarterback, stuff like that. Sort of like Harbaugh. Yeah.
Fair.
But I don't know. Let's interview him first. Let's see what he's like. He could be a weirdo. I don't know.
I think he's done an excellent job actually in Dallas. Like I do want to mention that. Like I think he's done a really good job, but it's also easier to do a really great job when you have a very good quarterback, a top 7-8 quarterback, 2 top 15 wide receivers. Michael Gallup is very, very good. It's a great situation for.
But Mike McCarthy kept him for a reason, right? It seems like he's he's very respected. Kellen Moore. It's not like
no, for sure. And him and Dak seem to have a great relationship.
Yeah. So I would. He's definitely someone to bring in the building along with Eric Bieniemy, Brian Daboll. But I'm telling you, Kellen Moore. He's my age. He's 33. I like the young former quarterback. It's intriguing. Now
you want. I know what you're looking for. I think I figured it out. You want the quarterback coach relationship, like the Holmgren, Steve Young, John Elway,
the Harbaugh,
Mike
Kaepernick.
Shanahan.
Yes.
Yeah. And the thing with Kyle Shanahan,
Kubiak Elway.
We haven't seen Kyle. Well, it was Mike Shanahan. We haven't seen Kyle Shanahan have that sort of relationship with any quarterback in his career, right? McVay had it with Kirk Cousins in Washington for 4 years, where the two of them had it and they got better together.
Wasn't McVay a quarterback in college?
No, he was a receiver.
Sorry, I guessed. Sorry.
Yeah, but maybe this is his guy. Maybe Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance are going to have the back and forth connection.
Show it, if Kyle could show that at any point in the next 7 weeks, next Niner fans would be so happy. And they would really trust the direction of the franchise. They just need a glimpse, Kyle, a glimpse. And he's like, no, absolutely not.